Raise your right hand and say, I will buy this book either today or on Amazon.com or World Stage Press. It's about 35, 40 y'all in here. And we got this book on sale. And we, in the back, and we need to support the community. Y'all don't feel me. I said, we're going to buy this book, right? I'm going to buy this book right here to support Camari. And I like what she say. Every black woman in here knows you cannot touch her hair. Don't even ask. What? So, without further ado, I would like to call up Camari Carter Hawkins.
My bad. I should do that. I'm going to go right back to you. Stifle their hunger pains, and I'm going to read the story of when I came in, when I faced that, and this is starting from the missions team. We've been out on a mission trip, and this is my first day in Kenya. The mission team decided to spend our first day in Bungoma to go shopping for collectible touristy masks, cloaks, wood carvings of zebras, anything foreign to prove we were really in Africa. How American of us, our first day on missions and we go shopping. Anyway, we also used today to shop for arts and crafts for the kids we would meet tomorrow. There were 14 of us in the missions team. Not that racial splits matter, but there were 7 black, 5 white, and 2 Latino, a perfect representation of America. After eating breakfast, a bowl of Weetabix, sweet banana, brown scrambled egg, and wheat bread, the team and a few pastors we met in Kenya gathered at the entrance gate of the Farm Institute. We Americans, all donning bright yellow shirts with large type font on our backs that read, Kenya, sticking out as sunflowers in desert fields. We all walked down a wide dirt road to Main Street. The main road was about a half-mile down, but as we kicked up dirt and rocks, we felt like a marathon. After a tiresome walk, we reached the main road and stood alongside the natives. This was the road where you would either drive or catch a taxi into town. The taxis were everyday people who had vehicles and gave rides for pay. Standing on the road, I saw dozens of taxis pass us, fully loaded with at least 10 people per 5-seater vehicles. I can tell there were no strict seatbelt laws there. While waiting for an empty taxi that could hold all 14 of us, I saw the natives staring at us with confusion and awe. I didn't feel awkward because I knew we looked different. Although I knew to be a distant descendant from this continent, my light skin and contoured bone structure revealed the diaspora in me and the other 6 like me. I saw young boys walking goats, leading them with sticks, young girls carrying large loads of vegetables, fabric, pounds of rice on their heads. I started to resent the weak muscles that came from years of sedentary desk jobs. I knew I was not that strong, and if I attempted to carry, I could imagine the women mocking my feeble attempt at being a real woman, one who could carry her weight and then some. Finally, a taxi came that unloaded enough passengers for us to fit. We quickly learned that if we wanted to stick together, we couldn't be too haughty to let someone sit on our lap. We all piled in a very old van and rode 30 minutes into town. We passed by people selling fruits on the side of the road, some selling clothes, some braiding hair with black yarn. Anything you can imagine as a service or product was available on the side of the road. Once into town, we saw buildings just tall enough for someone to stand in. There weren't many signs on the buildings that I could read, and many were in Kiswahili. As more time passed, seeing Kenyans, seeing Kiswahili signs, it further dawned on me that I was not in America anymore. I underestimated how different and slightly alienated I would feel by not understanding the language. We all jumped out of the car in front of what seemed to be a grocery store. Our lead missionary paid the driver and we stepped inside. The store reminded me of Big Lots, a hodgepodge of items from food to arts and crafts to hair products and furniture. There was even a bakery inside. We split up and gathered water, food, juice, anything we thought we would need for the rest of the week. And we met up at the furniture section and talked about money. Some of us exchanged American dollars for Kenyan shillings and exchanged larger bills for smaller. After everyone was satisfied with their money, we purchased our goods and stepped outside. I'm unsure of who initiated the next move, but somehow we all split up into two groups. Ironic how the black stayed with the black and the white with the white. As far as the two Latinos, well, they went off with the white. And an opportunity to choose who to feel safe with, more comfortable with, more aligned with, well, you'll make the choice. I hated this happened and didn't really notice until we were several feet away from each other. I asked Ronald, man, what just happened? Why are we splitting up? I really don't know, Ron said with an exasperated voice. Why are all the black people together and all the whites together? Why are we not all together? I said in an increasingly loud voice, my frustration really pouring through. I guess some things never change, even in Kenya. Ronald continued while trying to keep up with the group. I tried to forget about the split and continue to enjoy this moment. The leader in our group was one of the pastor's wife in Bungoma. She walked really fast while holding the hand of her young daughter. At this point in town, in the middle of street market sellers, we were surrounded by people trying to sell us things, anything, from old shoes to worn clothes, ripe fruit, jewelry, and unused goods. My sister, look at this, come and look at this, see? I heard again and again. Although I looked, I didn't want to purchase. I could tell that these items may have been personal and they were working really hard to make any kind of money. We all graciously declined and numerous of times and kept on walking. Unsure of what we were really looking for, we kept on walking for a few miles into the town. A young boy, about 11, approached Cindy. His right palm was raised upwards to her. His left palm clutched tightly to the bottle of glue like a hymnal before prayer. I'm sorry, sweetie, I don't have any money. Would you like my soda? Asked Cindy to the boy, holding out the bottle of orange carbonated drink. The boy didn't speak. He simply nodded his head slowly. In one swift motion, he grabbed the soda, untwisted the cap, and gulped deeply. This soda must have been the clarion call because seconds later, we were surrounded by boys, all boys, around ages 8 to 12, all of them, reaching upwards towards us. Rust-colored hands from months of not being able to wash stretched towards us, pleading silently. For a moment, we were their diasporic gods, their Jesus, their Allah, or shown anything that could change their life in an instant. Their hands swayed in the air of worship and drug indulgence they needed from us. I'd never known real need until I watched a 6-year-old abandoned, high from glue, empty-bellied from poverty, beg me, a pauper in my own country, for money. I've never known true hunger until I saw prayer and plea in his eyes. His eyes were brown, sepia where white should be, and completely devoid of hope. I've never known depression until I saw a starving 6-year-old boy. And I imagined, what would it have been like to bring them back to camp where we were all pairing lost children into loving homes? What would it have been like to walk the boys a few miles to catch a ride back to the camp? What would it have been like to stack closely in overcrowded beds next to one of the boys to learn about his story? Would he have inhaled the fumes of hardware glue to soothe his nerves of talking to a Mzungu for the first time? Would he have known any English? Or would he have spent time motioning his intentions with swaying hands? I imagined us making it back to camp with 12 boys, each excited yet nervous to go up with strangers, but never scared because their entire life has been lived void of fear. Would they have been hoping, thanking us, their gods, their answered prayer, their angels, for saving them? I imagined sitting side by side at the dinner table, breaking off scales and bones to reveal edible meat from fresh fish, with their stomachs churned in thanks or violently cramped from the clenching that stomachs do when they hold on to food tightly, unsure of their next meal. Would they tell us their stomach hurt? Would they keep eating despite the pain in hopes of storing enough food in preparation for more hard times? I imagined inviting them to stay with us for the week, give them clean clothes, toiletries, soccer balls, toys, items to remind them that they were children deserving of something good. I imagined staying the week with them and then dreading leaving them, unable to carry anything but the burden of their memory back to America. I imagined leaving them to return to their ruin as I return to a crumbling of my own. The weight of being unable to save them, let alone myself, suffocated me. I thought of these things as the young boys waved begging hands near my face. It wasn't real to me until I felt the burn of acid tears sting my eyes and bitter my mouth. I walked briskly away from them. I didn't want them to see their Mary in pain and conflict and anger to her God for seeing small children drugged and in hunger. I walked fast away from them, leaving and forsaking them, because the weight of saving them was beyond me. I could barely save myself. First time getting through that without crying, that was the most tragic thing I've ever experienced. And it's so much I wish I could share with you, but I'm just gonna have to write a memoir or something because it's a lot. And honestly, that situation, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna be brief, but I really went through a hard time where I didn't pray because I felt like, who am I to pray when somebody really don't have no food? Like, not I can't go to Taco Bell, I only got $1 in my pocket, like no food at all. And I was faced with the privilege that we really have, and I know it's sensitive to say privilege around Black people. It's sensitive because we see so much opposite of us, but it's true. Even if you don't have no money today, you're gonna have some this Friday, next Friday, maybe next month, but you know it's coming. And it wretched me, and I really had no prayer life because I was like, God, you don't have to do nothing else for me ever again because spend your time doing something else. But I realized I was convicted. Someone, good friend of mine, Brittany, was just like, what did you tell me? You said something really good. I can't remember right now. But she was just like, you can still pray about some other stuff. I forgot, but it's gonna come to me. But in the beginning of the music that I played, it was these beautiful girls that I had the privilege of working with, and I taught them how to write poetry. But they were 8 years old, so they were like, what is poetry? So I was like, here, just journal, just talk about your day. And so I called them the Dreaming 10 because it was 10 girls that I had the privilege of working with. And so I have just a short, brief poem called The Dreaming 10, and it's in honor of the girls that I worked with. I can't even see because my context. I'm crying. Okay. If you are still enough, looking deep enough, their secrets would unveil to you. If you are open, wide as empty clamshell gulps Victoria Lake, you would already know their story. Their hopes lay bare as their scalps exposed to sun, hearts hardened as the huts they sleep in, huts sculpted by cow feces, clay, and the heat of day. Roofs adorned with hay and straw they often chew for pleasure. My dreaming 10 girls birthed from brown sugar, crispy edges of s'mored marshmallow on a sweet potato pie. I taught them what it means to be a dreamer. Girls, a dreamer is someone who believes and always achieves. I hear their voices on repeat every morning alongside early rising bees saying the mantra again and again until they know they don't have to grow up only to be some man's third wife. I wanted them to know what a dream really is, what a possibility really means. I asked, do you know what a dreamer is? Their sun-soaked skin glistened starry as they shook their heads ever so curiously, left, then right. A dreamer is someone who believes and always achieves. A dreamer says no to grungy men who try to steal the sprouting of her sugar cane. A dreamer is more than her village's low expectations. A dreamer does not have to bear everyone's problem, bear incest-conceived children, bear the abuse. A dreamer is Lillian, Belinda, Barbara, Nancy, Deborah, Naomi, and Veronica, Tabitha, and Vivian. It's 2 years ago and it still touches me. And the reality is, I don't know if I'll ever see those girls again. And it was hard because someone made it clear to me, and I didn't realize I gave all the girls like a copy of my book. They don't know how to read, or they know, but you know, it's above their, understanding. And someone told me when I got back to LA, don't you know that, I think it was you, did you tell me that how, almost how dangerous it was for me to give them a book, how to teach them how to write, how to be a woman, how to just have a dream at all. That was countercultural because they don't have that ability, right? Just to be able to write or really go out. They have like certain things that they have to, you can only be this, or that, that's it. And to go there and say, no, you can do it all. I didn't even know. Countercultural, but I hope that it ministers to them. Last poem in regards to Africa. There was a young girl there. She was a teenager, and she wasn't in my group, but I heard her story. And some of you have heard me read this poem before, but didn't really know where it came from. So this poem is called Esther's Feet, and this is her story. Let's raise our glasses to my dad's cock that jackhammered my hymen when I was 5. Make a toast to the hole he bore in me, but not through me. Cheers to the blood that sputtered on my new yellow yarn quilt, the Merlot that now fills your flutes. Drink up, for his weight not choking me to death, just enough to make me beg for life. To his chest that smelled of harvested corn, to the sweat that trailed to his belly button, then dripped onto my nose, into my mouth. It was my feet that deserved all praise for the skill of not waking him up after his conquered, triumphant slumber. My feet that blistered from the rocks, hay, corn husks, they trampled as they ran. Nowhere but back home to fight another day under his chest until I grew older to finally obey my feet and never turn back. There's still so many stories, and I could only just share that little bit. So, as I work up the courage to share it, I will. And last story, and then we're going to get into the video. This is an update of Brock and Chiomanda. Does anybody know about Brock and Chiomanda? What? I mean, it's only like the fun story that I'm working on, and in short, it's about a 30-year-old black girl who moves to Texas because she wanted to start a new life, and she works at a calling center, and so she shares a cubicle with Brock. Brock is crazy, he's racist, he's white, and he can be found shopping at Dick's Sporting Goods in a hunting section, getting camouflage paraphernalia. So I'm going to catch you up. After they've worked, they kind of have this tension between them, and Brock gets promoted, and the team of workers are going out to celebrate his promotion. Some of you may have heard the story, and I'm going to continue on after this story, so this is really short. This is from Chiomanda's perspective. The concoction of Jell-O shots, tobacco-thick clouds, and pheromones has me all twisted up. I resent how eager I am for this moment. I wanted to get my mind off of the temptation of a man who was the complete antithesis of my being. Everything he stands for makes me, my people, fall, and here I am, falling. Brock extends a firm and welcoming hand towards me. Although I am eager to accept his request with my words, my body knows better than my mouth. I reach up as slow as a snail in rain, looking for a new wall to perch. I rest my hand in his. It is warm, calloused from farming, tending horses, or carving wood, I assume. With my hand in his, he wraps his finger around mine. I glance at the contrast of our hands. I chuckle. Brock lifts my hand above my head and leads me in an outward twirl around myself. He finishes the twirl with a gradual and intentional pull into his body. I am now colliding with his chest. Brock's right hand feels heavy on the small of my exposed back. My head is close to resting on his left shoulder. The smell of Irish Spring, a woodsy cologne, and a hint of beer rush my nose. I am intoxicated by the closeness of him. You okay? Brock leans into my neck. The fiery red bristles of his beard brushed the tenderness of my neck, sending thrills down my clothless spine. The side of his velvet cowboy hat taps the top of my curly fro. I'm good. I force out of the shaking of my body. Why did you laugh when I grabbed your hand? Brock steps away from my body, twirls me again, and leads me right back to his chest, his right leg taking residence between mine, his left leg close to my right. Oh, that, it just looked like our hands were pigs in a blanket. Cheesy, I know. Just, I'm not used to, never been this close to a white man. I'm nervous to bring this up. Although I know this dance, us together right now, whatever this is, isn't going anywhere. I didn't want to mess this moment up or cause it to end abruptly because of my truth and how he'd take it. I need to milk every bit of closeness to a man I can get, for pheromone's sake. Well, we've got to change that now, don't we? Brock sways his body side to side, taking me with him. He is a really good dancer. I underestimated his ability to move on beat by being thrown off from his flannel button-down and brown cowboy hat. I just assumed cowboys were more wrapped up in tending to their farms than dancing. And how do you suggest we do that? I'm not quite sure we need to change, with us being different and all. And why do we need to change? You're not supposed to be into black girls anyway. I'm not, but I'm into you. Why? Why is anybody into anybody? Brock shoots back a little quicker than I liked. No, that's not what I want to hear. Why are you into me? I see the Confederate flags on your desk. I see how you dress. Look at where you live. You're from here. This is what you do. My voice increasing, but not louder than the music. Look, I was raised a certain way, yes, raised around folk who may not like a certain type of people. I don't always agree. I can admit that I've never been into a girl like you before, but you're different. But in a way, you are like I thought you would be. And how is that? Feisty. Is that your way of calling me an angry black woman without saying it? Yes. How dare you? Before I could fully attest him and unleash my wrath, he steps away, lets go of my hand and spins in his cowboy boots. He stops himself, lifts his left leg, taps his heel on the floor in front of him, and glides back in front of me. I am back in his arms. What was that you were saying? I can't stay calm. My heart is racing from the complexities of his charm, his brutal honesty, and rural suave. What is it about the rustle of words that strike me, keeps me coming back? This is what always gets me in trouble. The lure of differences, banter, the back and forth, battle of the minds. You were the one who just got done calling me an angry black woman before you went twirling around in your tight-ass dungaroos, I say, as fast and cunning as I could before he went off spinning again. I didn't say you were one, I just said I guess you would be feisty. And why is that? You've been watching too much BET? Yes, actually, and I am intrigued. Brock pulls me in closer. My breast pressed on his chest, my face is a mere inch from his. Brock is just a few inches taller than me, so with a slight tilt of my head, I can see directly into his striking blue eyes. Just as I start exposing his black girl fantasies for what they were, I feel something separate us. Like pulling away two opposing magnets. Our energy was separated by a large, surly man with a jutting stomach and stubby fingers. What the fuck, Brock, is going on here? In one motion, the stubby man pulls Brock closer to him, away from me, while eyeing me. Oh, come on, Waylon, you see I'm dancing now. What do you want? Brock is annoyed. Oh, I see you dancing all right. And who is this? Waylon sneers at me. His eyes are as sharp as his tone. This is Chiomanda. Chiomanda, this is my cousin, Waylon. Brock says with a light tone to insinuate nothing is wrong. Chi who? I don't give a damn. I just know you better get yourself together for the crew walk in. Oh, come on, man, don't be like that. Just let me finish my dance and I'll come say hi when I'm done. Brock steps away from me. Bronson steps away from his cousin and inches closer to me to resume the dance. Just before he reaches back for my hand, two tall men who look to be extended versions of Waylon grab Brock by the shoulder and spin him around, not as graceful as if to dance. The men yell at him, point at me, and they motion for him to follow them to their table. Brock resists and says, after I finish my dance, fellas. They affirm him. There's no dance to finish with her. Don't you see there's other women in here? I wait. Wait to see if Brock will stand up for me. or prove my assumptions about him to be true. I am uncomfortable, more aware of my body than before. I feel my skin swallow me whole. I feel my soul also wanting to jump free from its mouth. I'm aware of my backless dress, how short it is, how much of this hungry skin is exposed. After a few more insults to this woman, this black woman, Brock looks at me with apologetic dog eyes and whispers, "I'm sorry," and walks off with the men, those men. As he walks away, he turns back to look at me every few steps, and I am there, waiting in the middle of the dance floor, eating alive by my skin. I stand flat-footed on the dance floor. My feet are rooted in the floor, and I am a pillar holding this place together. I feel as if I could rip out of place and take this whole club down, but I don't. I stand in a pool of my anger and humiliation while shooting darts with my eyes at Brock's muscular back in the middle of his friends and family. I contemplate grabbing a steak knife from a table and lunging at those men, but I don't. I'm here, in a sea of twirling country men and women. They spin past me in couples or alone, ignoring me like the pillar I am. I'm unsure of how many songs have passed me by or how long I've been standing in the smack dab middle of the dance floor. What I do know is I'm a damn fool for thinking that dance with Brock would go smooth. Every time I'm around him, nothing ever goes right. Seconds pass and some booming hip hop song comes on. A herd of women rush to the dance floor to shake their daisy-duked asses. I feel a firm body press up against my back and start grinding his hips on my tailbone. I am hurled out of my trance. I spin around, fist formed to swing, to see that it is Joe Black. "Oh damn, girl, it's just me." He steps back and shields his face. "Oh, hey Joe. Come on, girl, let's dance that long face away." Joe grabs my hands and shows off his two-step. Joe is wearing dark blue fitted jeans, a powder blue polo shirt, and tan Sperry's. He doesn't fit in here, but he doesn't stand out either. His sense of style is not too urban as if to cause a stir from the cowboys and girls. He's mastered the art of blending in. Hot in Her blared through the club speakers. Everyone on the dance floor is swaying, jumping, and gyrating as if it's 2002, as if that song didn't debut near 2 decades ago. I grudgingly dance with Joe, stepping side to side in inches, eyes staring at a piece of pale pink gum plastered on the wall across from me. I imagine a woman spit it out and put it on the wall seconds before a hot, steamy one-night stand. Joe is persistent and determined to get me to reciprocate his energy. His hands insistent on breaking me from my trance. He shakes my body gingerly as if to wake up an infant. He waves his hands in front of my face, and after I didn't respond, he places his hands on either sides of my cheeks and turns my face towards his. I peel my eyes from the gum and onto his eyes. I now notice that his eyes are hazel brown with olive green specks outlining his pupil. I am now falling into his forest. "Chio, you okay? I've never seen you like this. What's wrong?" Joe revealing a tender side of him that I've never seen. "Oh, what? Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. Let's keep dancing." And I try to divert his attention back to dancing, this time adding a little more sway to my hips. "That would be fine, except you aren't dancing. What's going on? Who did something to you? Let me know so I can go knock their ass out." Joe searches the room with his eyes like a bloodhound catching wind to the scent of its prey. I can't talk about it right now. Before I can even respond or resist, Joe grabs my hand and leads them through a school of drunk cowboys and girls. We bump a few shoulders and throw off some who were in the thick of a two-step routine. Joe leads me outside to sit on a bench in front of guitars and Cadillacs. As we sat, the neon lights from the blinking monikers shined remnants of blues and purples on our chocolate skin. I am reminded of the northern lights. Night skies with streaks of rainbow glowing lights. I've never been, but I've Googled the images several times. Although Joe was aggressive in getting me out of the club and alone, he sat with me, peaceful in the quiet, his arm resting in safety and protection around my shoulders. He admires me in the dark. I wonder if he is thinking about the northern lights as well. I realize this is the first time I've experienced this type of intimacy since I moved here 8 months ago. I feel that my body welcomes this closeness, and I lean my head on his shoulder. We sit in silence for what feels like 30 minutes. I close my eyes and embrace the lights. Seconds later, I hear a loud burst through the club doors. I look to my right to see a sea of white men yelling and pushing each other. They all swarm and migrate towards the parking lot. I spot Brock in the middle of this hive. Through the cacophony of this choir, I was able to make out a few soloists say, "I can't believe you were dancing with a fucking nigger. Don't you know what we stand for? I ought to tell your father about this nigger loving session you had. Don't you know you're about to, do you think that you are above us because of him?" I inch in closer to Joe and tuck my face in his arm. I can't bear to see this uproar all because of me. I muster up a little courage and peek from Joe's wing and see Brock stand still and stare at me. He tilts his head to the right to take a good look at me. Everything around me turns black and it's just me and him, enlightened in a sea of dark. He turns his head back to an upright position, steps back, and looks disappointed. His lips part, eyebrows frowned, and shoulders slump. "Oh, there's your little friend now. Look at her, she already moved on, Brocky boy." Waylon couldn't wait to blurt out, "Let's go and have a little chat with her and see what you like about her anyway." Waylon led the herd of men in a charge down the parking lot towards us. Joe and I both stand up in an instant. Joe's right arm pushes me behind him. Once I was behind his shield of a body, he slid his right hand into his pocket, reaching for something, but hadn't revealed what it was yet. Brock ran to the front of the mob and stretched out both arms and tried to hold them back. Brock's face is inches away from Joe's. The angry mob pushes against Brock's back. They sound like a team of horses huffing, waiting on the gates to open and release them after the bunnies in front of them. Brock reinforces the gate he is by stepping back, pushing against the revved up animals. Brock whispers and exasperated, "Just go, Joe, take her and go now, please." "Just what in the hell is going on, Brock?" Joe says as cool and calm like the forest tree he is, raising a single eyebrow suggesting an answer. "I'll tell you Monday, just go now, please, just go." Joe releases me from his shield, rests a protective arm around me, and leads me to my car. I reach for my keys in my purse and unlock the door. Joe holds it open for me as I motion inside. Joe winks at me and reassures everything will be just fine. Just as Joe began closing the door, a man from the mob of horses yelled, "Go ahead now, you damn coon!" Before I could register what was happening, Joe takes off his cool and sprints headfirst towards the mob. I slam my car door closed, jam my keys into the ignition, start the car, and speed off. Fire-hot tears sear race tracks onto my cheeks as I speed down the highway home. Dr. Chiomanda! Okay, so that's all that I have to share with you. Thank you guys. And 2 announcements. I'm about to play this video, and then we're going to go home. But before you go home, I want you to, there's some water and snacks in the back. My sister says, "Buy my book." I co-sign that. There's also some jewelry in the back of my from my great friends, a cold piece and October Blue from some cold pieces. So check out their table. And lastly, we're here together because of the Give 51 campaign, which is put on by CLI. And we are putting on, there's different literary events to raise funds for the Living Writers Series. Anybody heard of the Living Writers Series? Anybody? So what the Living Writers Series is a program where we send in authors to high school classrooms to read from their books, and every high school student gets a free copy of that book. That's amazing because the authors that we choose are not only mostly from World Stage Press, but they are people of color and they represent the classrooms, the students that are in the classroom. So that is amazing for the kids to see someone who looks like them have a book, read it to them, and give it to them. So this program is only funded by our lovely donors, you guys. So if you're interested in supporting this program, please, I would say see me, but maybe see me tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. See Hiram Sands, who's not here, but you can also go to communitylit.org to find out more about the information, more about the Living Writers Series, and to donate. We are trying to raise $135 to Oh, you're right, $135,000. And right now, I think the goal is about $2,000. So if you're looking to donate, it is a tax-deductible donation, and please think about it. And without further ado, here is TV Hair versus My Hair.
Cut the speaker off for a second. Yeah, turn it off.
Turn it off.
Yeah, while I plug this in. Or turn the volume down.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you see what it's... Yes, it's in.
Shout out to Williams Pastor in the house, Pastor Shay, Sister Alice Shay. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm shouting now because he was like, you need to do a video for this poem. So I listened, I was obedient, and here it is. If someone could turn off, anybody know how to turn off these bright lights? It's the first black, it's the black box all the way in the back. It's the very first black switch. That was a very descriptive. Pull it towards you. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Can everyone see? I think so.
Led me astray. Yeah. Telling me to try this, try that. My hair resisted movement like a stubborn child. And I tried to appease my hair like a parent with an unruly child tries anything to get her to obey. You want brush? You want jam? Even that didn't comply. But rise, lopsided afro. I felt subconscious about my hair as I went to work in an attorney's office, and my feelings validated as those unrelated to me by any means reached out to touch, and I ain't felt like it's a game of limbo. Hell no! You can't touch my hair. I know, girl. Don't you know I just came out of the battlefield barely alive with this hair? Don't you know the soldiers of my combs gave their lives for this mission today? My casualties alone this week were 3 combs, 8 hair clips, and 15 scrunchies. So please save me the agony and save those questions for someone else, because it's unfair that I took the opinions and stipulations everyone else had about my hair and made them into a Bible. If my hair is too tightly coiled, I need a hot comb. But if it resembles Brazilian, Malaysian, Italian, anything but African, it's considered exotic. If my bad hair day resembles the style that should be seen in the remake of Roots, Rosewood, and Amistad, I slap on the wig because it's unprofessional. And I shouldn't let these people see me like this. But like what? Right. For who I really am? Well, this is what I have to say for those who don't want me for who I am. What, girls? Girls, silence. Won't waste another day or another minute or second pleading my case for you to see that my hair is brilliant. Yes, it is dull. But that's because my soul radiates enough. Yes! You can't easily comb through my hair without elbow grease. But that's not for you to worry, right? And yes, you can't easily run your fingers through my hair. That's because you're not supposed to touch it anyway. See, my hair is stiff because it is art. It stays in place for you to gasp and marvel at how it resembles a field of floral wonder. So no, it will not blow in the wind, because that's how trees break, right? But my hair is tough, it's strong, it's durable. It's like me. So that moment I realized I didn't have Tracy Ellis Ross's hair was the moment I said, I'd rather have mine. Cheers. Yes, come on.
Don Williams, he approached me about wanting to do this, and he was gracious enough to do this for me. And I think 2 of the models are in the house. Queen X is here. Is that Queen X? I can't see. Somebody needs a light. And then Bree Marquis is in the building as well. So I want to thank y'all for coming. I know it's getting late, and so thank you. And there's snacks in the back. I mean, does anyone have any comments? I don't know.
Good job, my love.
Thank you. Questions? Something?
And I just totally can relate to the whole set of your form. I just recently had to face my own hair. I never would like to wear my natural hair from section over the whole top of my head. And so my mother shaved my hair off. And it was my first year in junior high school. So I had to go to school with a complete bald head in junior high school and just with a little bit of dovetail in the back. And I just never forget my mother holding my face up and telling me to love myself. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I always had a fear after my hair grew back to wear my own natural hair. So when I turned about 15 years old, I told her I wanted to start wearing weaves. And I had wore weaves in my hair from 14 all the way up to like 30 years old, 35 years old. And so when you were sitting there, you were holding it, you know, in the dark, that was me. You know, I used to be like, I wanted to wear my hair down so bad, but I just couldn't. You know, it was a fear of it, of not accepting myself. So I just want to say I was real, it was dope, and I can relate.
Thank you. The reason behind Just Like Home in this is definitely, you know, it's a hair thing, and you know, unfortunately, it has to be. We keep having to explain it because we live in time people are like don't understand, and so this is my attempt at just telling my story. It has a theatrical feel to it. I really, you know, I enjoy it. It's a different light. And it's on YouTube. I know the sound was a little wonky, so if you want to watch it again with more sound, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Camari Carter. And my husband's going to close out.
Okay, please give my wife a round of applause. Thank you. For the people that are kind to my wife, you have got a friend in me. If you need anything, if you're nice to my wife, I'll pretty much sing to you anytime you need that. But I believe that we are done for the evening. Please support some cold pieces in the back. We have some snacks. Please, we don't want to take those home. And thank you to everyone who shared. We really, really appreciate you guys. And it does help to watch the video, put it on repeat, subscribe, tell somebody else to watch it. Those views really do help the traction and whatever the math that they're doing so that the video can get some traction. Thank you and have a good night.